Hi everyone, I'm back with another video. My name's Scott Blackhurst, and for my peeps on Instagram, flying high again. So I've been getting hit up about tying some more flies and shooting some videos. So today what I'm going to do is an adult Tapewing Caddis and go over the materials real quick. I'm going to use tan 8/0 unithread, a Dariki number 14 dry fly hook, some Trout Hunter premium tan CDC, and from Anglers a speckled hen saddle hackle. And so let's get started. And just start at the eye of the hook and wrap back. Doesn't have to be touching turns or anything. Just get it back to the back of the hook. Remove your waste piece. Then you take a fairly nice long piece of CDC and just make one tie-in loop around the CDC and then pull that back until you just have a little bit showing at the tip, and then we tie that down and tie up, and then we will get our hackle pliers and just put that on anywhere on the CDC, and I'll usually take it just a quarter wrap there in front of me and then down and just start twisting that CDC up. What this is going to do is take all those CDC fibers and have them run around each other. So I've been tying this fly a long time now, a few years, and come up with a couple of extra things. I originally saw it on YouTube and absolutely fell in love with it, only because I love caddis so much. But we just keep spinning every turn. Keep spinning that CDC until we get right up to the thorax area, and then we're going to tie that off and get rid of and then I just take some turns up to get that thread away from the CDC there, because I'm just going to cut that off. And then it's up to you. You can leave that scraggly CDC on, but I like to just take my scissors and cut that all off, because what that does is that reveals a very segmented body. And then lately I've been experimenting. If you got a lighter, you cover up your thread and just run a flame across that CDC. One other material that I use a lot that I forgot to call out in the beginning there is horsehair. So since this is a tan CDC, I grab one piece of horsehair, then I take that and just cut that into a couple of shorter pieces and tie that right on top of the hook, and I get it split make some figure eights through the horsehair just to keep it separated. And then tie it back to right in front of the body. And now, so I will show you how to do a wing, to make the wing. by what I do is I pre-make a whole bunch of wings up and then just have those on standby for when I need them. But we'll just pull out a single feather, make sure that it looks good, and we're going to take all the fluff off the bottom, and then we're going to start stripping the feather down to size it up with the hook. So caddis are really a lot of wing and a very small body compared to how big the wing is. So that's about the size of feather I'm going to use. And then we're going to use some Scotch tape. And I'm going to take the feather face down and put that right on the sticky surface of the tape and push that down. Now this is pretty critical here, is you want to make sure that you get that feather folded right down the middle on the stem, which will make the wing even on both sides. So there we've got it, and I've taken my fingernail and really stuck it together. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to start at the point of the feather and cut along with the grain of the feather fibers. So we can just cut that down and to there, and then we're going to cut basically a heart on the back side of the feather to make the caddis wing. And then usually what I'll do is size it up on the hook. That looks good. So now the second critical part of this fly is super glue. You can use Bug Bond probably, but I just prefer the super glue. I found when I first started fishing these flies, and I wasn't using it, every couple of casts I found that I was losing my wing, and finally realized that it was just getting whipped off from the false cast. So just tie that in, and then I'll come forward, make one more figure eight through the wing or through the antenna, and then wrap it back. Now here I'm going to do a split thread technique with my CDC. You've heard of the magic tool. Well, I've made a poor man's version of the magic tool out of a piece of poly block, and I've just taken a hacksaw and cut some slits in it. I have this one, and then when I go berserker crazy, I've got one that's got 10 slots in it, so I can really load up all the different color CDCs. And so then you lay the CDC with the stem right in the center of that cutout, and then take a piece of string and push that down and fold that feather onto itself. That way you can use the whole feather. Nothing goes to waste. And then I've got a chip bag clip, and just take that clip, and then you've got your CDC captured in there. And then I come along and cut the CDC stems off. This one has had 2 feathers in it, and I do that while I'm waiting for my thread to unravel a little bit. I'm going to come in here, split this thread. I really like this technique. You can always do a dubbing loop also, but I prefer the split thread. Split the thread up. Take our CDC. And then what I do is spin it clockwise, the bobbin, while I'm still pulling tight on the thread so you don't lose any of your CDC out of it. And then when you get a few turns in there, you can let it go and that CDC just spin up. Makes a beautiful hackle. And I'll take this and start right there at where we tied the wing in. And so the antenna I always cut really long, and just for this reason here is so we can get this CDC spun up, and when you get out and you start pulling those fibers back, if your antenna isn't long enough, you'll just pull that back too. It's hard to see in that mess of CDC. Wind that up. Then I'll usually take some of the stuff there at the bottom on the eye and just tear that off. Come in with the whip finisher. Do some turns right there behind the eye of the hook. Then I take my tool here and make some half hitches. Run some half hitches. This helps finish that tie off, but I'd also take some of the CDC that was poking there at the eye and gets that pushed back. Tighten that up, break your thread off, and take all this CDC on the bottom. We're just going to cut that off. Usually what I do is take that cut off and put it in my other little box, and you can see I've tied a few flies, and then I can use that later on for CDC dubbing. And then come in here, trim a little bit more of that CDC on the bottom. We want this fly to fish right in the surface film or just below. Even though it's a dry fly, I'll always fish these flies a little wet. And come in and take those antennae and pull them down a little bit, and then I take my dubbing brush and just comb that CDC back a little bit, and all those long pieces that are longer than the wing itself, I always come in with my fingernails and break those off. This, got one little piece of fiber there. Now the antenna I still leave a little long, because you can always cut that at the water, but a lot of caddis have fairly long antenna also. But there's the finished fly. I don't know if the camera is picking up the body, but it's got a really nice segmentation. But that is the CDC taped wing adult caddis. Hey, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about this.